Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Business Breakthroughs. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Andrew Honigsfeld and Michael Millay. Yes.
Woohoo,
Andrew,
first.
I got you in there first. Yeah. Woo. All right. I love it. Well, gentlemen, we're talking about, I just keep laughing at the title of this episode. I love it. Do you enjoy the gift of your weaknesses?
I feel a little trolly naming the episode that, but like at the same time, it's so like exactly speaks to the heart of it.
Yeah.
Because
Wait, how do you enjoy the gift of your weaknesses? What are you talking about? Nobody enjoys weaknesses.
well, and that's actually part of it. That's the perfect example of it. Because it's when the reason why you don't enjoy your weaknesses isn't because they're weaknesses.
Right.
You don't enjoy them because you're trying to pretend like they're not weaknesses or trying to cover them up or compensate for them, as opposed to just having ownership of like, hey, you know what I suck at doing? You know what I shouldn't ever touch? Like, and I'm going to use Andrew as an example.
Yeah. Let's throw Andrew under the bus.
Yeah, no, this is just, so Andrew one time tried to make those little croissant rolls from the Pillsbury thing.
Yeah,
Crescent rolls. And then like roll it up and he like put them on the cookie sheet, started the oven and everything, and put them in, and they came out, and there's a bunch of little triangles just laying there, not rolled up at all.
Yeah.
Because Andrew thought that that's how you're supposed to make croissants.
Okay. And I thought that they would roll themselves. Realizing now that's not how it works.
So I'm just going to say, Andrew was also surprised to discover there were multiple types of onions.
Oh.
Let's put it this way.
I'm still not sure I believe that fully. I've seen them, but they taste the same to me.
Let's put it this way. I get worried when I hear Andrew in the kitchen unsupervised.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And like, it's funny, but at the same time, if he was like super embarrassed by it or like tried to pretend, no, I got this.
Right.
Or anything like that, or didn't ask for help in, hey, Michael, how long should I actually microwave this for?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if he didn't do that, then A, he would end up cleaning up a lot more messes, and B, not eat food as much.
Right.
And like, there's actually an impact to him not fully owning that, right? And it causes a lot more upset and catastrophe. And I get it's some way a silly example.
No, it's totally working right now. Like, I'm getting it, guys. I'm getting it. Like, the reality is here's what you're saying. When we realize that we have weaknesses and we own that, life becomes a lot easier, because we just go, I'm not going to try to make crescent rolls or croissants in the oven. I'm going to outsource that because that's not my thing, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, I'm glad Michael used that example, because there's a lot of people out there that will openly own, hey, I'm not a great chef. And they will openly own, like, hey, I've burnt water multiple times. It's a thing. You can do it. I've done it. But they might not own that.
He's not joking.
But like, why I like that he used that example is because we own and enjoy the gifts of our weaknesses in lots of places. We just don't realize that's what we're doing. You know, and so like when you get into a business, you're like, I'm going to own my own business, or I'm going to, be the best realtor. I'm going to, whatever it is that you're going into, especially business related. When you go into it, it feels almost taboo to have things or aspects of the business that you don't like, aren't necessarily good at, or struggle with.
Okay.
Because you're supposed to be the business owner. You're supposed to know all of it. And kind of what we're here to say is, like, you get a lot of freedom from saying, nope, I shouldn't touch this. For me, technology, you can ask Michael, I like to break technology. I don't know how, but I just do. So
my favorite is when he says his computer's broken and it won't turn on, and I come in and press the power button, and he's like, I did that 5 times. How come it didn't work for me?
Right. And
like, it didn't. I don't.
Right. And so my thing is, I don't try to solve technology breakdowns. There are, you hire a technologist. No, you hire somebody who's an IT person to solve those problems.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be the business owner that can solve your or that can fix your copier.
Right. I see this a lot with, so we can stay in the space of real estate, like people get in, we go, oh, I've got to input that listing into the MLS. I've got to deal with all this paperwork. There's all this stuff that we just say like, oh, I've got to do it. And then we resist it. We resent it. We feel prisoner to it. And so I get the whole thing of like, I don't have to do it all, but give me the sense of like, where's the gift of it come in? Why is this a gift?
So I have a great example.
Yeah.
From Coach.
Why is it a gift that Andrew burns water or can't?
No, this is actually from someone we coach.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So they were telling me about their Thursday, how they did a few things and then sent out 7 letters to some distressed properties and they had researched them, figured out what's going on, figured out that they'd be great flips, and sent out a letter to them. And spent some time doing it and researching and doing all that. It was like, okay, so why didn't you just send that same letter to everyone in a 4-block radius? And then just outsource it, because there's companies that you can literally pay $250 to do a mass mailing of a zip code. Depending on the size of zip code, and maybe it gets up to 400.
Right.
As opposed to spending 4 hours researching and whatever, all those properties you research are still going to get that same letter and then more. And it's just more touches. And let's say you do send it out for the purpose of the distressed properties. There's going to be some you miss, some that maybe on the inside are feeling more distressed and feeling like they need to be cleaned up.
Right.
And so, but instead of spending 3 or 4 hours doing it for 7 properties, why not pay $400 or $500 to do it for everyone? There's no reason to do that quote unquote research until you actually get any response back.
Right. And going to the gift of that, right?
Yeah.
The gift of all of that is in owning it. I don't cook ever because it's a bad idea.
He knows how to do eggs now after
I do.
a few years.
I do. Or, but I don't cook. I don't spend my energies and my effort trying to solve the riddle of cooking.
So is the gift of it then that you have time to do other stuff, or is the gift in it that you don't have the stress of trying to be all things in the kitchen?
It's sort of yes is the answer. It's both. I don't spend, so like going back to the mailer, right? Keep it in the business realm. Sure. Is he spent the whole day working on one task because he's not good at it. So at the end of the day, he didn't do the things he is good at. He didn't have the freedom. And I bet you he went home and was exhausted.
Yep.
That's the impact of trying to deny your weaknesses.
Got it.
Also, then any other investment letters he needs to send out are going to require another 4 hours.
Right.
Over and over and over and over and over again, as opposed to spending the 4 hours to just get the system set up, so that he could then go, hey, send out this letter to this zip code. Here's all the people.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, let me see if I can I? Oh, go ahead, Andrew. I want.
Well, I was going to say, and drawing it back in is when you own your weaknesses, right? When you say, I don't want to send these mailers out, figuring that out is just hell in a handbasket for me.
Yep.
Great. Who does? And it goes back to when you build your team, hey, I need somebody that can do mailers because, dear God, I shouldn't do it. And now there's one less thing on your plate. Yeah. Which, as a business owner, as a realtor, as anybody who works for themselves in any way, you have enough things on your plate. I guarantee it. Giving off this one thing doesn't take away from what you have to do.
Also, you start being able to have fun with it.
Yeah. Right.
So look at how much laughter me and Andrew just had around him not being able to cook.
Yeah.
Imagine if instead of that, he was embarrassed about it, or I was resentful to him about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fun. Like, and there's so many things in life that people try and just push through and suck up, and I can do it for whatever reason. I need to be the one to do it. And as opposed to just being like, oh, wow, I really hate this. No, it sucks doing this. Like for me, organizing pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Me too.
I love money. And at the same time, if you paid me $1 million to organize a filing cabinet, I guarantee it would not be up to the standards that you were hoping it to be organized to.
Yeah.
Not because I mean to, but just because.
It's just a weakness he has.
Yeah.
I love this because I feel like when I think about, as entrepreneurs, as business people, we have a vision in our head. We're like, this is what I want to build. And then the minute you start going down that rabbit hole of building that vision, if you're not careful, I've done this. I can't count how many times I've done this. I start latching on to all the things and trying to do all the things. And the gift of my weakness, if I looked at like, okay, I suck at this, I suck at this. The gift is that I actually get to my vision faster if I know that I suck at that and actually outsource versus trying to do it myself. Listen, I'm going to say this for you and for the benefit of everybody listening that you're trying to reach. I have postponed my success and my vision in my head by a decade because I tried to do things myself. A decade, 10 years, because I tried to do things myself.
Yep. And that's the gift.
Because it's not because I'm laughing at you, Chris.
I got it.
So relatable.
I got it. No, I got it.
And that's the
human experience.
Well, and that's really the gift, right? Is like you got your weaknesses.
Yeah.
There was no point in fighting it and doing them anymore.
Yeah.
And suddenly 10 years later, you got to where you wanted to be. Right. It took you 10 years to get your weaknesses, but if you would have gotten that 10 years ago, you would have gotten where you wanted to go that much faster.
Yes. Right.
And so that's why I consider it a gift, because if you're not paying attention to your weaknesses, if you're not looking there, then what future, what dream, what goal are you postponing because you won't look at where you maybe shouldn't be involved?
Also, you can't then ask people to fulfill on that for you.
Right.
Because you're so busy resisting that area as opposed to being like, oh, hey, it'd be really fun not doing any of that.
Right.
Right.
And like there's a freedom that comes and just a lack of charge and lack of energy that you then have to put there.
Right.
And you can actually see it clearly because instead of resisting like, all this stuff's going to be on my plate, it's like, oh, so this is what it requires. That sounds freaking awful.
Yep.
I'm really glad I have someone else to do all of that stuff that I never want to think about ever again.
Yeah.
And you can start having fun with it. Like one of our clients is notorious about scheduling things and thinking he can teleport from one location to the next.
Yeah.
Fun fact, teleportation hasn't been invented yet.
Right.
He realizes this every single time.
Yeah.
But once he actually started to own that, he started to have power inside of his schedule because he actually got, I'm going to pretend like I can teleport. What if I didn't pretend like I could teleport?
Yeah.
And then also had an assistant who would schedule that for him.
Well, and one of the things just to sort of like close it off here for me is like one of the biggest reasons why people don't fulfill on the goals for you or when you hire somebody, they don't take on the task is because you're not clear that it's a weakness. And so you give it off to them very half-heartedly. You're like, hey, so this thing that sucks, I hate it and it's terrible and it's going to be awful for you too. I would rather you did it. Who wants to do that task?
Right. Right.
And so when you own, hey, this is my weakness. I hired you because this is not your weakness.
Right.
So I personally hate this, but I think you're going to love what I'm about to give you.
And I'm really glad that you're going to be enjoying doing this.
Right. When you give off a task like that, is that person not much more likely to say, how can I jump on this right away?
Right.
And it gives you the freedom too to hire people that aren't you,
Right.
but that are your weaknesses, so that you don't have to play with your weaknesses. Let them play with it, because that's their strengths. And ultimately you end up in a strengths-based system, which is what we want for everyone.
I feel
also,
like
you can breathe easier, and you actually have more power because you're not trying to hide your weaknesses and compensate for them.
That's beautiful. I feel like what you guys, like, this is where it all, like, the rubber meets the road right here is, I mean, this is what you guys do. Like, if you guys listening to this are tired now of resisting your weaknesses and you're actually open to the gift of your weaknesses, right? And you want to stop.
You could tell that you were even like the gift of your weaknesses.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. And if you want to stop postponing, your success and what's in your head to build, then I guess the next step would really be to reach out to these guys. I know that you guys do like a free conversation around what they're trying to create, what they're trying to build. And so let's just connect them to you. Where do they go if they want to have this conversation with you?
They go to myperfecthire.com. And that will redirect them to our website, where they can just scroll down and reach out, put their email in, and we'll get on. It's usually about 90 minutes, and we'll just sort out what they have going on and where they're stopped and get them going again.
Love it.
And ask those 3 questions.
Yes. Good stuff. Andrew, did you have a final thought on that?
No, I was just going to say that, the big thing is we ask the 3 questions, and if we're able to help with where you're looking to go, then that's where we stand. And if not, then we help you find somebody or something that can. So this is really just a free, how can we be of service to you? If you're interested in not resisting your weaknesses, come find out what's there.
Perfect.
What's
available.
available.
You guys can go to myperfecthire.com, connect with Michael and Andrew there. Guys, thanks for a great episode. You guys always stretch my mind for things like this, like owning, the gift of my weaknesses. Thanks for a great episode, guys. We'll catch you next time.
You bet. Enjoy.
Yeah.